Okay, so.
Hello. 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 Hello, everyone. Hello. Hey there. Boom, boom, boom. Bada bing, bada boom. Bum, bum. Okay. I'm a tired boy. Sleep's so weird. Okay. Lower that a bit. Okay. That's probably still too loud. Let me see here. There we go. How's everyone doing? Good, I hope. I was told by somebody that the last stream I did or uploaded sounded kind of wonky, my audio, and I think it's because I had this little fan next to my face and it was just blowing air. And I think it was just messing with it. heat fainting? Yeah, you better drink some water there. You better drink some water with her. Stay hydrated. Keeling over. Can't be getting no heat stroke. Hey, JIT. Or JIT. Yit. I don't know what that means. J-It. That plenty keeps going on. I think probably gotta go to the doctor. Yeah, you better go to the doctor with this. One day you're just not gonna show up to chat anymore, bro. So go get the doctor, check you out. Alright, man. Sure, you're getting up there in age, you know, stuff starts falling apart. Exactly. Oh, Jay. Passport, got it. Welcome. Welcome. Right. Waiting for a few peeps. Usually I waste a little time by giving some updates. Let's see here. Still taking that 60 milligram Strattera. Getting some weird side effects, but I don't know. I've had side effects before. They usually go away after about a week or two. Nothing too crazy. I've had worse ones, I think. Weird stuff happening in my life that I have little control over. But I'm navigating it and doing what I do. I don't know if I said it last time, but I did a test run on the 60 milligram extended release somebody. Oh yeah, I did talk about it because somebody left a comment on the VOD for the last stream. I always have so much trouble saying propranolol that I can't say it quickly. I have no idea why, but I can't say propranolol. Propranolol. It's just, I try to just say it like really quickly and I can't. Propranolol. Fucking weird. My enunciation for a majority of the words in the English language that I'm aware of seem to be just fine, but this word, it eludes me. But yeah, it worked pretty well. It worked pretty well when I did use it. Yeah, but yeah, so far as side effects go, dealing with some not so sexy side effects. Let's just say propranolol. No, it's propranolol. Propranolol. I can't say it fast. Yeah, it's propranolol. I have no idea why it's so hard for me to say quickly. If it was propranolol, that would have been really easy. Propranolol. It's the only medication I can't say that I have. The other ones like atomoxetine and whatever else, Lexatine, Proprion, like all that other stuff. That's easy. Yeah, P-A, propranolol. So the N-O's together there, Shadow, in the YouTube chat. Yeah. And it's not pan, it's propo. Like proposing. Propranolol. Propranolol. Oh, you'd say it like that, but that's not how it's... Yeah. Propranolols. Yeah, I know, really, it's pure lols. Alright. Now there's a few of you here, especially in YouTube. Twitch is a little empty, but that one generally is a little more empty. Okay, my audio sounds good, I hope. I'll get Yammer in here and get started. So, Tuesday is Topical Tragedy Tuesday. That's when I talk for the next hour and a half, usually, about a topic that's been kind of rattling around in my mind that sometimes has to do with mental health stuff and schizoid stuff. Sometimes a little less to do with it. In this case, I would say it definitely does to some degree, or to actually a significant degree. And then I kind of ramble on about it for like a little chunk of time at the beginning, like I'm doing now. And then after that, I usually open it up to whoever decides to jump on the BC, which is open to anyone that joins the Schizoid server. and basically they would have to, like, if they're new or they're not already registered as schizoid and applied through the vetting process or whatever, they would just have to DM me to tell me what it is they want to jump on and talk about, and then as long as they're being good faith and want to talk about something that's, you know, related to some degree or anything else, they have questions, just, you know, just not some troll, I'll generally let them talk. It'll be cool. But yeah, on Tuesdays I just have a thought in mind, and the thought that I've been dealing with, mostly because of just being tired and stuff happening around me, and hearing stories from other people of stuff happening to them, and like from, you know, people that I've more recently, you know, since in more recent times I've become accustomed to friendship style intimacies of my brand, of my kind. So trust me, it's not the most conventional, but it works for me and it works really well. But in any case, just hearing some people complain about this and stuff that's going on around them, whether it's at home or coworkers or peers and everything of that nature. Oh, and my little one just walked out here. Okay, good night. All right, good night, night. Close the door, please. Thank you. All right. So as I was saying, yeah, I found it really irksome. I've been really tired of, like, just it's that exhaustion you get from hearing a lot of sort of back and forth, whether it's hearing the problems themselves, hearing people that do make sense to you have to deal with things that don't make sense to you, and getting really tired and exhausted from hearing it, but not their fault anyway. It's just very frustrating that it happens at all. And it's like those moments where I have to really resist the sort of wanting to sort of split on humanity, or at least the neurotypical side of it, and just be like, oh man, like you know, they don't make sense, their ways don't work, their thoughts, you know, blah blah blah. Like, it's when you're tired enough, it's really hard not to, as some of this neurodivergent, it's really hard not to, like, get really kind of tired of a lot of these things that to you seem batshit insane. And that's kind of what I want to talk about, is that feeling. I'm not here to say, like, oh yeah, they're all crazy and we're the sane ones and blah blah blah, whatever, to all your schizos and autists out there. But it's just that feeling of just feeling like you're trapped in some weird global asylum. Like, you're trapped and you can't do anything about it, and all you can do is try to navigate it, and then, like, you keep coming across people and things and situations that, like, you can only intellectually fathom occur, but you can't, like, conceive of why they need to keep occurring, or why, if there's other options or preventative measures, they're never taken, and why these decisions are constantly made at the cost of everyone involved's peace of mind. Well, at least that's the assumption, right? Yeah, like, it's something like, I mean, this is just an example, because it's not what I'm definitely not dealing with this, but, like, hearing stories about, like, oh, you know, this person has this really bad relationship, friendship, family member, you know, really bad interactions with them, really unhealthy stuff, quote unquote toxic sort of interactions. And, like, in my mind, right, like, in my schizoid angst brain, I think, why do they talk to each other? Why do they talk to each other? Why don't they stop talking to each other? Why do they keep making up, but then they know it's gonna, like, break down again? Why are they delusional? You know, and sort of that feeling of, to you, they seem absolutely fucking insane. But I remember something, and I always remember it, and that's, if I was the majority, if we were the majority, we would be classifying them as being insane for some of the stuff they do and say, and ultimately we would be denying a significant or a differing portion of human experience, and we would end up doing exactly what they currently do to us in a variety of ways. And so I remind myself that, and I remember that, and I forget that folly, because it leads to nothing but self-satisfaction about their my own, kind of difficulties and frustrations, and just smug, glib self-satisfaction is not really productive or useful. Though it is fun to play with in one's mind, right? There's nothing wrong with getting mad and having an irrational thought or two and just baking it in for a little fun, even though you always keep your foot in the door, like on, I guess whatever, keep your one foot in or 1 foot out of the bathtub or the pool or whatever they say, to make sure that you don't get like pulled in. But it's fun to play there sometimes, to think that like, oh man, maybe I'm wrong, maybe all these people around me are insane, maybe this, maybe that, like maybe we made a mistake, we didn't recognize the potential of other types of cognition, so we ended up allowing a single, more prevalent type to run what do they call it? Run buckshot, run roughshot over like the direction that humanity has turned toward and guided itself to, or whatever, blah blah blah. You start having thoughts like that because it's just, to you, it feels so intuitively fucking insane. And I also think, I'm like, is this how they feel if I I'm not masking and I'm just talking? Like, would somebody hear this out there in the internet, the average person just think, oh, this guy sounds crazy and boring, or he sounds like, oh, he has problems, so they should really like give him meds, he sounds like a schizo on the internet or some shit like that. And I'm like, and then these are the same people that are just making these decisions and doing these actions that I find to be ultimately insane through my lens. And I guess wanted to talk about that feeling a little bit. Maybe some experiences you guys have had that you can put in chat, or if you want to jump in VC to talk about it, where like something people do that even other people that are like them would say, oh yeah, that's not a good thing to do, but I understand where they're coming from. Or that's not a good thing to do, but I get why they did it, right? And to you it sounds crazy, right? It's like, to you it's something like, going back to, again, one example, and the common one is going back and trying to repair a seemingly irreparable connection they established with somebody, whether it was a friend or a lover or a family member, and they're just going through those motions again and again and again. And that whole thing about like, oh, what's that trope of I know they're terrible, but they're my fill in the blank family member and I still love them. Like, stuff like that is really, really tough for me to understand. I just go, no? Like, what's happening there that's so intuitive? That's the part that's confusing to me. Like, stuff like that, it seems because it's so unintuitive, it sounds insane to me. To think, oh, just because somebody is your blood, or because you grew up with somebody with very little choice, if they're horrible to you or just kind of a terrible person, you are willing to just keep allowing them, or allowing yourself to be either exploited or hurt or whatever, what have you, by this person, because my family or my best friend, fill in the tribal community interpersonal association. And yeah, to me it sounds fucking nuts. But when I try to express how nuts it sounds to me, sometimes, like, if it's a person that would understand why they make these decisions, they'll say to me something like, "Oh, that's not really, it's really insensitive, or that's really, you're not being understanding enough about the situation." And if I'm too tired and I just don't care to attempt to metacognate that deeply on the matter, like, my first thought is just, they just don't, like, I'll just think, well, why don't they just stop? They don't have to do that. They can do something else. So why do they care? Can't they just stop and do something different? And that's considered insensitive and potentially harmful. And some might think, oh, well, that position's just unreasonable and insane. It's like, is it now? So, yeah. Sorry, guys. I'm extremely tired, so I'm sorry if I'm not being as rambunctious as I sometimes can be, depending on my energy levels. I think what's happening is the changes in my medication are kind of kicking my ass a little bit. But we'll see. I don't know. My sleep's it's been affecting my sleep a little bit there. But anyway, guys, let me switch it over to. This sounds pretty fire. Let me make it so I can stuff in here. Hey, what's up, Shadow?
Morning.
How you doing today?
Better.
That's good.
Than I was earlier.
So, how do you deal with this, Shadow? How do you deal with that feeling of, like, it feels like they're insane?
I don't really know. I think I just kind of, that's what they think, so I just have to deal with it.
Yeah, you have to deal with it, but it doesn't, you don't ever, does it ever make you feel like you're the only sane person in your vicinity, in your like local world?
I don't see it too much. I question myself far too often for me to ever like really feel like I'm the only one that's sane.
That's fair. Oh yeah, that's good. That's good. It's a good thing to be doing. But
I don't know, I think I'm probably too forgiving in that respect.
Huh.
It's just like, oh, it's not something I can change, so I don't get frustrated with it as easily because it's just something I've already accepted.
Yeah, I think that's part of the maybe that's part of the issue with some peeps. I would say myself included to some degree is this kind of unwillingness to accept that it's a permanent state of affairs.
Yeah, I feel like I've already done that.
Yeah. Because the problem with thinking it's going to be a permanent state of affairs that's unalterable, that's really hard for me to fully accept, only because it would mean so much of what's happening, so much of what goes wrong is merely because some arbitrary choice is being made, and similarly made by a giant portion of the human population. Like, it just doesn't, and it's like this weird decision that we know doesn't work, or it's been understood doesn't work, and it just keeps happening again and again and again and again. Like, this is here's an example of like what I mean, how insane it feels to me. That even with and remember, guys, this is just a feeling. I'm not saying, oh, I'm better and I'm smarter and I know things more than whatever, but this is how it feels to me. I know about people that are literally therapists, people that studied attachment theory, people that studied a variety of things related to this stuff, and they still do the things. They still keep doing these, like, involving themselves in the very things they're helping people try to, like, it's like they're having the same delusion that the client is about their situation, or at least what I perceive it to be. And then sometimes these things that I think seem like delusions are not interpreted as delusions. They're interpreted as reactions to emotional or difficult situations or something, and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, that still can be a delusion. Delusions are that too sometimes. It can be part of that. So yeah, to me, somebody who has the knowledge and is aware of a lot of the trappings and pitfalls and whatever, say incompatible or damaging human relationships, and then taking part in one without being able to see that it's occurring once they have actually possessed that knowledge, like I can't deal with it. Like I can deal with it. I understand to some degree why it happens, but is it just a complete lack of self-awareness or introspection? Like, what is it?
Well, like, the only thing I can kind of try to relate it to is that I'll have days where I feel like more stereotypically autistic. That's a good way to put it. And I don't often feel like that because there's a lot of other days where I feel like I can not intuitively. I am far more composed, and I just feel like I can like understand things from an outsider's perspective and not be like too attached. But then other days I am intuitively stereotypical. So I think that happens to them a lot as well.
You mean like as far as like being like when you say stereotypical, you're referring to like having trouble with picking up on various types of social cues and things, and so on and so forth. Okay, yeah, okay. And then you have some days where it's like a little bit easier, or a lot easier.
I have other days where it's extremely easy to just kind of understand things from an objective perspective
about the situation.
Where like you can kind of see outside the situation, where it's like I can even recognize my own shortcomings and why that would be a problem if I were to do this, do that, etc.
Yeah, but do you think?
But not always. Some days, and it's not even like I have a choice. It's just some days I just don't. Even when I know, like I observe that, I'm not as objective today as I normally am. I'm not as composed as I could be, but I don't really know how to change that.
Yeah.
Lacking in composure.
Lacking in what?
Composure.
Not necessarily.
I'm just kidding.
No, there's something else about this that like it's kind of like eating at me. Hold on. So, okay, what was I? Sorry again. Meds are kicking my ass right now because of the changes. I'm still adjusting to it. So, okay, okay, here we go. Here's the one. Okay, so that's one conundrum to me is somebody that's knowledgeable at something and yet still falling for they're still unable to recognize that they're doing the very thing like that they're helping, say, their clients with, and they're a therapist. Like, to me, that's odd. Okay, so there's that, and then they keep doing it over and over, right? But the other one too that I see a lot of people do that's kind of odd to me is like relationships, and it doesn't have to be, like I said, romantic, but relationship in which both people are like actively harmful to each other in some way or another.
The Mean Girl Club? What are we talking about here?
No, like people that are just like friends or partners or something, but they're actively they both have like really bad traits they need to work on, like really bad issues, whether it's like attachment stuff or whatever. And instead of like either party ever being able to realize that that's what's occurring in any capacity, or even questioning it, even having the capacity to sit there, think about it, and question the situation, they do this thing where like they normalize it inside their heads for one another, and so then both parties sort of either resign or accept parts of each other that are just like actively harmful to everyone involved. Because
right, I hear what you're saying. I think I understand what you're talking about. So, I mean, I would just say, first of all, when it comes to relationships, and especially romantic relationships like that, I have to find myself, and hate to hate to whatever, be too pro-Vacnin and the psychological crowd
You
or
don't have
whatever.
to mention them. Just say the words. You don't have to get people.
Right, but it's not
all the time.
just Vacnin. I mean, it's the psychological crowd.
Yeah.
They think that there's just no such thing as like a bad relationship and the reason why is because both parties are almost certainly getting something out of it. You may not be able to see it,
Yeah.
but whatever it is that they're getting out of it, they're getting out of it.
But couldn't they get that something out of it without all the other problems?
Well, usually, I mean, people are just filled with problems, man. So I mean,
No, I'm saying, but like,
I hear what you're saying. It's nice to think about, like
couldn't
trying,
they, like,
but
improve the problems they have with.
Brother,
but they're not aware. They're not aware that the problem.
Sometimes they're not aware.
That's what I'm
Correct.
talking about. Like the normalization of like a toxic or whatever friendship or partnership by both parties. It's not just like one person is like, because that happens too, where one person is like abusive and the other person excuses them, and the other person is like not even aware that they're abusive. But then, but you have the situations where both parties are just kind of abusive to each other, and they kind of like.
Whatever the sex is good, sometimes you can call it, right? So I mean, sometimes the sex is good, sometimes it's just something else.
But it's friendships too. It's friendships.
Right,
Like,
that's what I'm saying. It's like they're very intimate. Maybe they both like Kingdom Hearts. Maybe whatever. The thing, right?
Weird.
So, right.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because me and Shadow have a toxic friendship, and the only thing that keeps us together is Kingdom Hearts.
See, there you go.
But no, let me see here. Saren, they might be aware, but it could be serving, even if all it's just no need for connection. Some people like chaos.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but that's the thing. Even the people that like chaos, I think they're used to it, and they've grown up in it, and they're unhealthily familiar with it.
Yep.
But I don't know that they necessarily like it. Maybe they don't know.
Well, it depends on what you mean by like it.
Yeah,
like I've told you,
true.
the thing it's what it is a comfortable feeling because they feel like they can predict things.
Yeah.
They get predicted.
It's so fucking.
They get to be the prophet.
And like I'm not even talking about like let's step away for one thing. Usually bipolar women. Okay, that's what I was gonna say. Let's step away from like something that would be considered just like a personality disorder or some kind of cognitive issue like being bipolar or whatever, or emotional mood dysregulation. Let's step into just a category of like what would be considered like more normal, quote unquote, sort of ups and downs and so on and so forth that occur in like I guess neurotypical or more conventional types of friendships and romantic partnerships and stuff. Like a lot of that stuff is like, even that stuff to me is confusing a lot of the time. I had to learn to navigate aspects of it because obviously I'm a parent, I have a wife, and my wife's not a schizoid, and she does some stuff that I had to learn that makes sense to her that doesn't quite click with me right away. But vice versa. I do a lot of that myself. But she's one of the people in my life that's obviously willing to navigate my side as well, right? So that's what makes it a giant difference there. But just hearing about like I don't know, this and that family member or so on and so forth did this and they acted like this, and then like my reactions, like sometimes they'll annoy people or even my wife because I'll be like. She'll be like, oh, can you believe this person did this thing again? And, blah, blah, blah. And then I'll just say, yeah, but why didn't the friends of this person or the family members that are aware of this information not step in or say something or actively try to, like, improve the situation instead of just, like, staying quiet and doing nothing about it and then complaining to each other? Outside of earshot. What's the point of that? It's accomplishing nothing, right? And it's funny too because I think a lot of Zoids out there can sometimes understand that, feel that way when they see other people doing a lot of this stuff, because people don't want to feel uncomfortable. Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. You know what? Maybe that's all it is. Maybe Saren, it's because maybe a lot of zoids and a lot of just kind of neurodivergent people are so uncomfortable all the time that we got so used to discomfort that we don't understand what the big deal about discomfort is. Like, does that make sense? Like, it's just like I've been so uncomfortable for so much of my life that the idea of perpetuating discomfort, that longer term bad things to avoid immediate discomfort, to me that seems insane. To me, that seems crazy. But people do it like constantly and all the time, and it can last for years and years, and it's like very common. And it's funny too, because I've talked to my psych about this, and I'm like asking her these questions. She's like, this is pretty normal back and forth stuff with human beings, and I'm like, yeah, I understand that that's what it is, but like, it intuitive, like to me, like internally, I just go like, but why? Like, because it's funny, because I'll explain, like I'll say, why don't they, like, I'll tell her a story about something that happened between people, or something either I saw or I heard from someone, or I even saw in some dumb, reality TV thing, and people were talking about it, and it's like some big deal, whatever, who cares? And then I'll tell my psych, but couldn't they have just done this step, I'll say like step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Like, couldn't they have just done these things, and then ultimately, like, it would have like been kind of bad for a little bit, but then it would have brought together this, and then just like move forward, because it's just kind of a waste of time, and who cares? And my psych will just be like, she's like, that's exactly ideally how things should occur to my understanding when it comes to like healthy, therapeutic, secure attachment sort of stuff. And I'm like, wait, so this isn't early on I'm like, so they aren't crazy. This is just normal. This is sane behavior. This is what would be considered sane behavior. I know I'm not a sane person in a variety of other ways, but this is sane behavior. And she would be like, it's sane, yes. Some aspects of it could be improved, but and then I would be like, but they're not so bad. What I'm describing isn't so bad that people wouldn't just kind of live with it and be fine. And she's like, no, a lot of people just live with that and they're perfectly fine with that. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, it's fucking bananas in my brain. And I that's what I'm curious about you guys. Like, do you guys ever get that feeling when you see this stuff and you experience it? Do you feel, even if like you're aware, right, that it's just something you don't understand, just because you don't understand it doesn't make it bad, it still like just feels so fucked and weird and crazy? Like, you get like
I usually feel like I'm the insane one.
And I have no idea how you would feel. It's funny too, because like you're one of the sanest people I've ever met. Like,
it's because I so often have to question things that it's not necessarily that I feel insane.
Yeah.
It's that I consistently have to re-question what I would naturally guess as my first intuitive thing.
Yeah. Because
it's usually not that case when I have to ascribe it to other people.
Yep.
And it's been like that for so long that now it's just habitual.
Saren says, I think a lot of problems we complain about when it comes to neurotypical are more so societal and cultural problems. You could say that brain differences are the reasons, but it could also be the norms. If I didn't see this be such a consistent and constant trend of complaint within like a lot of neurodivergent places and circles, I would be more in line to think it's all social and cultural. But like, obviously those people aren't being affected by these social and cultural norms as much as people that aren't like that for some reason, right? And I'm guessing that's because those social and cultural norms are designed and based around that sort of experience, or the experience that they're commonly having, and they structure society around them. The majority wins. What do you do? And so So because like yeah, it's some of these things like just don't make sense to me. Like, and I'll watch like
Bro, you get so general. You need to be specific. Just give us
I
specifics
know
like
I'm
this.
trying. Well, I'm a fucking schizo. Chill. Yeah.
Right. All right.
And all right, give me a second. And I'm like I said, I'm getting some side effects here from my meds. But so let's do specifics. I gave some earlier. But yeah, like I was saying, like let me see, or actually, let me get more specific. Person A is hurting person B, or both people are not talking to each other because problem that they have with one another that neither person is talking about to the other, but they go around talking about it to other people, like a lot, and they're obviously very much emotionally having problems individually because of that situation. But both parties, if you were to suggest, why don't you just figure it out and have a conversation where people just chill and, figure out how to have a mutual sort of dialogue on how to take care of this weird problem that is just going to keep getting worse if neither
Bro,
party
you
says
keep you keep keeping it general. Like, give it what kind of top problem are we talking about here?
fill it in. It doesn't matter what it is. Like, okay,
is it something that's embarrassing? Is it something that's like it's gonna result in the other person losing their business? Is it something that's
obviously,
gonna?
if you have that, okay, fine. But my point is that with or without that context or that level, it happens more often than not. Even if it's just
saying that they just have interpersonal problems between them and they won't discuss them.
And that's one example of a thing that to me doesn't make sense. And the only reason,
right? No, I hear you, and I think that it's probably just downstream from being a schizoid. I mean, I really do. I think that's what it is. They literally are under control of their true selves. Literally, that is a literal statement.
Yeah, but the only reason I would say there's some doubt in that is because I'm not seeing this from just schizoids, right? I'm seeing this from a large amount of autistic and otherwise individuals, sometimes ADHD, whatever.
Right, so they just have a different way of thinking about it. The schizoid also has a different way of thinking about it. So you're talking about we're talking about the thinking about it, not the going and doing it. Maybe the autist may even have a little bit of trouble going and doing it, but the person like the schizoid can at least think through the problem and think through what's happening and just detach, because we're so detached, right? We're just detached from it, so we just think through it and then get it done.
I get it could be easier, but even like people that I talk to that are not schizoid at all, they say, I wish I could just tell them and they could tell me, and then it would be so much easier. Like, that's definitely an autist thing that I constantly hear is, why can't people just communicate clearly and honestly and sincerely?
Right.
Because it's so much easier.
You explain that yourself why that is.
Yeah. I understand the reasons, but I'm talking more about the difficulty of having like that tiredness and the exhaustion that comes with having to constantly capitulate to this reality or this.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Yeah, it does.
Stuff.
Yeah.
And it just burns you out, and it eats at you, man. And we're still is like when. And I think that's a lot of the times why the schizoid, becomes as isolated and such as they do, is that burnout is so rough, and you get nothing in return because your problems and your issues and your difficulties are just too alien, oftentimes, to the very people you're expected to capitulate for. So. Yeah, that's just.
No, I agree with you. I
understand
what you're talking about. Yeah,
it's a rough.
Yeah, it is.
Time.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I guess I was curious to hear about other people's experiences on that front. I think people sometimes talk to their friends because they're unsure how to resolve the conflict. Some people just want to complain, and some people want a different perspective. Yeah, but like, almost like every IRL or otherwise, or stories from people I know and telling me about their families and all kinds of shit. Like, and even in like, even if you're talking about fiction, right? Even like these problems or these interactions and these things are written into the narrative, and the average person watching it will be like, oh, I understand where they're coming from, or I understand, oh, I would do that, and oh, I would, oh yeah, that would be too much, I couldn't say, or I wouldn't be able to,
Right.
you know. And
Yeah,
and I'm sitting there just like, oh man,
this is fucking retarded. That's exactly what
yeah,
you're
yeah,
thinking.
yeah, well, you pull the words right out of my mouth. And yeah, and so, but I guess what I'm saying is that like it's hard. I mean, I
Putting
guess,
up with all that, right?
yeah,
putting up
putting
with
up
the
with
true
it,
selves
yeah.
of people is it's literally it's a real problem, man. Just
yeah, but the truth, even if I wasn't schizoid, I think I would feel exactly the same.
You would yourself be under control of
No.
yourself, though. So.
No, because
Yes, would.
me being in control of my true self in my mind is
You don't get to be in control of it. It gets to be in control of you.
no,
It's the other way around, Big Hoss.
no, I don't want that. No, thank you.
I know you don't. That's why you're schizoid.
Why would anybody want that?
Right, exactly. Probably the neurotypicals don't necessarily want that, although
But they
a lot of them do enjoy the passion that comes from it. Hang on. I think this is just my thoughts on it. I think a lot of them would give it up in a heartbeat if they had the ability to, but they don't have the ability to go schizoid. They literally don't know how. They don't have that inborn ability, and that is, you know,
Well,
that's.
it's not. I don't know about an inborn ability, but yeah, I get what
I
you're
think
saying.
it's near certainly happening, and at like below age 1. If it's below age 1, it's inborn. I'm sorry. I mean,
yeah, I differ with you on that one, but yeah.
okay, that's fine. Yeah.
Most NTs want to talk about something they know will support their weak, rationally unsupported beliefs, so they can be right. The more so when they're wrong. Yeah, I see that all the time too. That's another one. That's like hard for me to wrap my mind around. Is knowing, becoming threatened by being told that you're wrong, and being shown evidence that you're wrong about something, and then instead of wanting to learn from it or understand it in order to be like have a better idea of what's happening or more information or what have you, they instead retaliate, deny, hide, fight. To me that seems insane, but apparently that's pretty normal.
Yeah,
behavior.
totally normal. Yeah.
I don't, it's, and I'm not like, I can't grasp it emotionally. I can only grasp it as like a subject matter in which, if I'm reading about conventional human psychology, sociology, behavior, and things like that. Like, I can understand the mechanics of how it kind of happens, but to me it just seems like, why don't they stop it, the ego wants to deflect blame or responsibility. Yeah, but like, I think about if I'm talking about my own ego, I feel like my ego is more predicated upon wanting to improve myself in order to bolster this, I guess, ego or whatever, and make it stronger and more consistent and resilient and more open and honest. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know that I necessarily buy that. Oh, that's just ego and that's how it is and there's nothing you can do about it. That's just people, blah blah blah. Like, and I don't know, man. It's just so weird. And then people talk about wanting to just destroy your ego or remove your ego. I'm like, it's like nobody wants to try to actually work with that fucking thing and do something
it's the
about
meme
it.
of, I've destroyed my ego, now I'm better than everybody else.
Yeah, it really is. I think everyone wants to be better. Some people don't know how, and some people are afraid to. Yeah, that's a thing. A lot of people are afraid of discomfort. A lot of people are afraid of pain. And we've created I mean, I know I'm going off on a schizo rant here. But
Well, I just hang on before you go there, because I mean, I'll just bring up. I think a lot of people probably feel pain. I think personally, myself, way more than I do as a schizoid, and probably more than a lot of schizoids do, in terms of this, like physical pain, and in terms of some
physical
other kinds of
pain
pain.
too? Oh, okay. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
I mean, for me, I have a super high tolerance for pain, and it's like it's the same thing as with what's the name Shadow said about you're trying to understand when you need to go to the bathroom or whatever. You just
Yeah,
don't feel it.
that's not an uncommon thing for a lot of neurodivergents, especially autists, because
Right.
there's a very distinct difficulty with introspection. I don't know
Yeah,
why
the
there is,
introspection,
but-
that's the word. Yeah, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm
but yeah,
wondering.
that's actually very common.
I'm wondering. Well, when it comes to pain, right? Oftentimes neurodivergent people are shown to be so sensitive or so averse to any kind of discomfort or pain that's why they're also jittery and anxious and this and that and
No, yeah, I agree.
yeah,
I
that's
agree.
well,
Yeah.
hold on
Yeah.
let me finish. That's how they're portrayed, right?
Yeah.
Oftentimes
Now they are.
but this is the
My
thing.
dad is that way.
Yeah, no, but
Okay, go on.
this is kind of one point I want to make is that like I wonder if a lot of the reason a lot of neurodivergent people have a high pain tolerance, high this, high that, can deal with a variety of very uncomfortable situations, conventionally uncomfortable situations, a lot easier, is because they're like I was saying earlier, they're used to living in pain.
Yeah, I meant to bring that up as well. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's correct.
Pain-
Yeah, it is various types of
pain is-
pain, various types
yeah.
of discomfort, and what have you. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, and you can see in the schizoid too. When something terrible happens to the schizoid, yeah, sure, you got the dissociation and everything else, but you'll also have this kind of resignment and accepting of pain. That's why.
Right.
That's why when you said that you think a schizoid can feel less pain than a neurotypical person.
Well, I think that should come with a star. I should clarify. So,
yeah, I was
I
going to
should
say
clarify
the
because-
asterisk is there, which I think.
Right, so
yeah,
that's with the schizoid adaptations
Yeah.
going on and
Yeah.
all that. The shields are
Yeah.
up. But if you don't, then we're probably the more hypersensitive of them, and so that's
Yeah,
why
but-
we've adopted the adaptations, and then we're there. Right?
Yeah,
So-
that
Just
and
like
you
some
probably had.
autists
Oh, go ahead.
are more sensitive to different sensory perceptions. It also depends on your state of mind, like emotional
Yeah.
stability. It depends on a lot of factors.
Yeah.
But the point is that the degree at which you experience and perceive things can be or is often more extreme than normal.
Yeah. No, yeah, for sure. I would say
It's usually not in the middle. It's usually more biased towards one side of either too much or too little.
I would say yeah, that's for me at least that's applicable. Like the more I start sort of recovering or whatever from a variety of my I guess negative symptoms, dissociation type stuff, connection to my full range of emotion, not just like anger.
That's good.
No, but all that sort of stuff all that sort of stuff is it's good, but it's also making me realize how deeply I actually feel about things. I feel
Right, you
very
hypersensitive.
deeply
Yeah.
about things, and they're usually
Yeah.
not conventional things. I'm not I
Right.
don't
Something
yeah,
abstract.
yeah, usually in my case, yes, it'll be something
Yeah.
kind of more meta.
Right, we're schizoids.
It'll
Yeah,
just,
that's it. Yeah.
Well, the meta thing is not the meta thing. I feel like it depends on the schizoid, but some are more. I guess that's true because, like, for example, like I know some like more autistic schizoids that they have like this deep well of emotion when it comes to like animal suffering, right?
Mhm.
And like
Yeah, I've no
they
doubt.
see or physical suffering of animals. They can't see it. It's literally just so agonizing to see things like that. Like they would rather experience a significant degree of physical pain than lay witness to it from especially animals. Like it's vomit inducing for them. Even if to somebody else it might make them like wince, to that person it's just vomit inducing. And then a different, more conventional form of embarrassment or whatever, what have you, like to them, that's like, I don't understand what the big problem is. Like, who cares? And then they'll think, but then I'll say something about, or they can talk about this subject, you know, and it's just, it's pure, was it moral intuition, a disgust mechanism shit. And in my case, I get the same feeling of that severity when it comes to some of these kind of things I'm talking about, which is why can't problems merely be solved because we're all just a bunch of little scared monkeys on a planet hurling through space. And to me, the fact that we can't do anything about that, and no one cares to, at least the majority of my own species in some significant fashion, that I feel very deeply, being the fucking schizo that I am, and that doubles me over in emotional pain and discomfort. Meanwhile, the average person is probably absolutely unaware, or cares, or just ignores, or just doesn't, you know, accepts.
Well, they got their hands full, bro. They've oriented
they got
themselves
their hands
towards
full of
daily reality.
their reality,
Yeah.
their stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard. But it's funny because they're like, in my mind, their preoccupation with their immediate reality that they have their hands full is literally what's causing the meta problem that will ultimately make it.
A lot of it is. You're not wrong about that. But on the other hand, I would suggest this. I think the Jordan Peterson thing, where it's like,
oh no,
look, first you gotta be able to handle your own everyday shit, and then maybe you're gonna go out and start trying to change the world and shit.
Yeah, this is what's funny. That's kind of what like. And Jordan Peterson didn't come up with that one. I just want to clarify.
I know he didn't. Yeah, I know. Yeah,
but that's some classic shit. But in any case, like in my case, I'm trying to improve upon some of that. Right, I'm trying to go to the gym. I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to do certain things more that are healthier for me. Get better sleep. Get more sunlight. I'm actually attempting to do all these things, and it's frustrating because it feels like I'm doing all these things that are good for the less schizoid parts of my mind and myself and my decision making, and then I just get upset or I get a little mad because I think to myself, why can't the neurotypical people just be a little more schizo? It'll make everything so much better for them. Right? Or be a bit more autistic. It'll make things so much better for them. Because
they can't orient.
I'm talking about be more abstract in thinking.
Right. They can't do that.
Push themselves. No, they can. They do it.
No.
That's what spiritual things are, and meditation and all kinds of things. That's an attempt to get to philosophy.
There's a way to do that.
There's philosophy. There's also mushrooms.
The very fact that we can like do normie speak and translate ourselves to them, they can do that with us. So it's not necessarily.
I don't know, bro.
No, but,
okay, but we can do it, so why can't they?
Yeah, but
where's your argument here?
Fuck just us.
They pathetic.
Right? But fuck just us, right? Just in my mind, for just the sake of their own lives and the lives of the people around them that they constantly can't claim to care about. It's just to me that's like, and a lot of the reason they don't do this stuff is because it causes discomfort.
Yeah,
and it's just like, to me, that's like, do you know how much discomfort I have to go through to like
right? They're not getting it
grounded. Yeah. Like
right. I know they're not getting
life and not getting just destroyed by depression spirals and destroyed by all kinds of shit, and like I still go through the comfort. I don't become just denial, delusional, like all this sort of shit that would feel more comfortable. I don't just like bleed, like drop myself into pure escapism and just disappear into it, which, oh god, trust me, that sounds great. But
sure does.
But my point is, it's like, no, I do not make that like what I consider to be just an unproductive and awful choice in a lot of ways, because I give a shit about not causing more harm around me. And it's
Mhm.
just like weird, man. Look at the chat here. I think schizo. Oh yeah, I already said that. NTs are far more driven by their anxieties and their programming than most zoids as far as irrational actions and cruel behaviors toward other beings, and they
Most
are
likely.
certain of the rightness of it. Oh,
Yep.
that's the weirdest part. Yeah,
Mhm.
that one's crazy. Like where they
Oh,
do
yeah.
like actively like vile shit to each other, and then like in their mind they feel right. What the fuck?
They
That's
like try to justify
crazy.
it.
No, but they feel justified. That's what's so
Mhm.
bananas. Like it's not. It'll just be like Oh, here's a classic one. Here's the
Oh yeah,
classic.
they'll justify it, but like they'll feel justified because they're able to convince themselves.
But yeah. I have so much trouble convincing myself of something that I know is like I can't. It's like impossible for me to convince myself of something I know is just not okay, even if it makes me uncomfortable to deal with it. Like I'd rather be uncomfortable than to do the thing that's not okay at all. Um, and like okay, here's a very classic tropey example of this. The classic I well, just use it because it's usually it's not always girl, obviously, because men do this, but classically in media and stuff, it's just, it's portrayed with women. It's the whole my boyfriend cheated on me with the other girl. Now I'm going to attack that girl.
Wise decision.
No, but like it's crazy. Like it's just like okay, and sometimes the other girl's unaware of the situation, right?
Yeah,
But
of
that
course.
even that's not even being thought about by
Mhm.
It's
the
worse.
yeah, right. But it's like the other girl doesn't know that she's even being a homewrecker. Let's just say, as they call it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
that's what I mean. That's even worse.
but it's so weird, like that context, or even thinking that it's just an automatic jump to no. But in most people's minds, it's very common. It's not just cluster B shit. It's this kind of automatic jump to they did something to take him away from me.
Right.
No, yeah, I get it. What I
It's
meant was
so
it's even
weird.
worse that the person that is doing the home wrecking isn't aware and they're being punished for something they don't even know what they're doing wrong. That's what I meant.
It's so bananas to me. Like it's just that action of like, wait, like did you just take away your partner's agency in this and like put it all on the
Of course she did.
you put it all on the other woman or whatever? Like what is happening? Like
No, it's
and
not
I
just
and I,
taking away their agency, bros. It's taking away the reality that almost nobody cheats on somebody that they're super duper attracted
yeah,
to. So they're not even understanding that that person's just not even super
well,
duper attracted to them.
is it just to hide from the discomfort or the pain that
Probably a lot of it.
they
Yeah, I
were
mean,
they
for
were
sure, a lot
just
of it is.
not chosen or that they weren't
Some
enough?
of them don't know. Some of them don't know.
Like is it the feeling I wasn't enough and so they
Yeah,
cheated
there's
on me?
that.
They're that's so painful that they rather just like be blind to it that
Yeah.
they
Well,
want to
imagine
have a
yourself. Hang on.
target.
Thanks. Hang on for a second.
Yeah.
Hang on. So for a minute, just imagine yourself in their shoes. So all right,
Okay.
they have now achieved what they feel like is the romantic ideal. They're living the billionaire life of the romantic ideal of a great relationship with a
Okay,
man
yeah,
that they're
sure.
super
Okay,
attracted to and all this.
yeah, and then
And the
thinks
man is super attracted to them and they've got all three pillars of true love.
I love how when Withers talks about this, he never says love or romance. It's just attraction. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, no, so attraction one part of it. And
Yeah.
then so they've got all three of the major pillars of the true love
Yeah.
paradigm and all this. And
They have
so
this
they finally
vision that their
achieved all
attachment's
that.
very secure and healthy and everything.
Yes.
Yes,
Hmm.
okay.
Yeah. And then so they think that this is a great thing, and they're basically billionaires, literally, in terms of their feelings. They're literally billionaires. They're living their ideal.
Okay.
And then now they see like somebody just came in and just stole $1 billion from
yeah,
them, basically.
but you don't even know who like it's not the same because like the other person
So it is very much the same.
they stole someone, an entire person, an entire consciousness that belonged to you was
Not just the
stolen
person,
from
not
you?
just the person, not just the person though, Angst. The experience, all the good feelings and shit that they were getting from that romantic.
So they're like drug supply got taken.
Yeah, they're drugs. Literally, actually, that too.
I mean, you have to think about it from a very emotional standpoint, Angst.
Yeah,
kind of like
exactly.
the same which I know that might like sound stupid, but
Well, it does because we're not under control of our true self. They are. They have their passions.
I don't like that word. I don't like that word.
No,
I know you don't because we don't even like it. We're schizoids. We're like fuck that shit.
I don't like the wording used. They're in control of their true selves. Is that what you're saying?
No, the other way around.
Oh, they're
true self is always in control of the person.
No, I know, but what I'm saying is that what are you saying about them that they do that we don't do? You keep saying they
are literally under the control of their true self.
Control of their true selves. Yeah, but that's the thing. Does it really? Is that really the true self? Like, how do we? How do we even?
Yes.
Okay,
it's the source of their passions.
No, I know. So my true self would be that fucking retarded.
Depending, I don't know what your true self is, but most likely, yes.
Doing stupid ass shit like that.
Yeah, most likely.
So. I think
this
is my true self, dude.
I didn't know.
I disagree.
Bro, that's never the case.
I think the entirety of the true self you're trying to talk about here is complete bullshit. Like, I don't think there's any sort of.
I mean, look, I'm happy to sit and bandy around with you, but it's just saying that your passions are ruling you. The person is ruling by their passions.
That's
right?
bad.
If you want to go at it with that angle, I don't like ascribing it to a true self. I do think what you're talking about is the same thing of what I'm talking about.
I mean, bro, when I say the true self, that's literally is just the same thing. It's the source of your passion.
But it's not a true self because it's still an aspect of you that is being overinflated and dominating. Yeah, it's the same thing as
I agree.
It's the same.
Well, they just call that the true self, right? Yeah, it's just naturally occurring.
Because that's not right.
That's a fucking shitty term.
That's not right. That's not the true self.
No,
that's not what that means. A true self means something, and it's not this.
Yeah.
What do you think that it means?
It's a culmination
it's not
of all
real.
These things. Like
the true self, it doesn't exist.
Yeah, I don't even think
you guys. I swear to God.
No, but
okay.
No, because I think of this has been discussed.
You're talking about aspects
forever,
of you that's being overinflated and dominating the other aspects. It's not a true self. It's an aspect.
Well,
yeah, right. Yes, but it's the. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead. I actually want to.
Well, the reason they call it the true self also is because literally it controls that person. Yeah, literally.
But the other aspects of yourself can control as well. They can.
Not usually. Not you. You're thinking that they can.
And
it's not usually.
They can means the true self is completely garbage.
You keep saying that they can, but you have very little evidence that they can. Outside of like a religious.
Look at a schizoid that is so dissociated that they can't.
Right, but that's the schizoid. That's where they've already banished the true self.
So what?
You have to banish the true self.
That is an aspect that is dominating other aspects.
Right. You have to banish that part of that aspect.
No,
you have to banish it.
That's not
it exists.
That's an overinflated.
What the fuck is it? Not I mean, you could call it whatever wording you want to call it, bro. They calling it the true self because it could literally. Right, but bro, it's in control of the normies. It's literally in control of them. That's why they call it the true self.
The problem here is that you're asserting it's quote the true self quote. That is what I'm arguing. If you can tell me I can say it's anything else, then you're not even talking with me about the same.
Okay,
topic.
I think.
No, I am. I literally am.
Hold on. I think what's being discussed here is that let me see here. I think what Shadow is saying is that the term itself is a misnomer.
I hear you. I understand, and I to a large extent agree.
Okay,
but
so
the part that he's missing is that they named it that for a fucking reason.
Yeah, and that reason is
Shadow is in denial about this reason.
They're wrong. And that's my
They're not wrong. They are correct.
I told you why you're wrong. You agreed with why I said they're wrong, and you tell me I'm wrong again.
No, they are referring. Listen. They are referring to what happens when the normie is fucking on this shit. Not when the Zoid is on it. Not when an NPD individual that's in schizoid mode is having it. None of that.
Horthus just asked, "Who is they?"
You think you think I'm not listening to you, Horthus, and you think I don't understand this aspect you so clearly want me to understand?
Where's Horthus, by the way?
Oh, he's in the Twitch chat. All he asked was who is they, in regards you keep saying they named it because it's true.
I
Right.
appreciate
Yeah.
it if you took a step back and realized what I'm actually saying.
I get what
and
you're saying.
No. Shut up, please. With
All
all
right.
due respect.
Go ahead.
Stop trying to do the stranglehorn thing.
All right, go
thinking
ahead.
that I don't understand a crucial aspect of this conversation because
I think you understand it. I think you're deliberately ignoring it to make a ontological point.
No, because I'm talking about something else.
Shadow doesn't
Okay,
care
go
about
ahead.
ontological
I'm
points, I'll
specifically
say that.
talking about something else first before I move on to that.
Okay.
So if you think I'm ignoring it, no, not necessarily. I'll get to that
Okay.
after I establish a stable foundation elsewhere first.
Sure.
I disagree with calling it a true self. The very fact of calling it a true self, I want to make that very clear because that's wrong.
I hear you.
There is no true self that is happening. Now, with that being said, there are aspects of yourself, and this is why I disagree with it being a true self, that become dominating and overinflated. For example, when you have a personality disorder, for let's say borderline, you'll have someone, or not borderline, let's just say you have something called limerence, where you fantasize about a person because you believe the person will cure you of your insecurities.
Sure.
When you become limerent on someone, there are aspects of yourself that are so focused on the insecurities that they overwhelm other aspects of yourself, namely decision making, namely that insecurities don't actually rule your entire life and you're more than just your insecurities. But that's not your true self. Those are an aspect of yourself that are drowning out other aspects of yourself.
I agree with that.
It can happen with schizoids as well. When you dissociate and you can't feel your feelings and the only thing you feel like is an outsider on the world in. That is an aspect, but it's not your true self.
Continue. All right.
No, that's it.
Well, I mean, that's what he's saying. That it's a misnomer. So
to an extent, it is a misnomer, and that's correct. It is.
Do you think I understand the thing? Do you think I missed out on anything? Was there anything you wanted to show me that I really didn't get? Because I think I get everything of what you're trying to say. It's just
right. Yeah, but ultimately, there's an ontological issue underpinning our linguistic difference. Really, it's that, and it's not ours, it's not mine and yours. It's whoever came up with the term and yours. Right. It's a linguistic difference that results from an ontological thing.
Yeah. But that's a problem. That's calling it a true self creates misunderstanding. That's why
I totally hear you. I totally agree with you. It's a term of art that's basically for wonks and fucking big time psychological circles. It's not for everyday people.
It's wrong. It's wrong. It creates misunderstandings.
Well, it's the same kind of thing in my job.
Fucking tragic. Yeah. Well, I got two things that I want to cover here really quick. Because Horthus asked you, every time you said they are the ones that created. They are. What's the they you're referring to? Like.
Well, so I can just tell you, Horthus, it was Freud that first came up with the idea of what he had, the old school conception of ego, which is different than what we think of ego now today, which now we would call that very similar to the true self, a couple other odds and ends in there. But the people that changed it to the true self or whatever are other psychologists and what have you throughout the years. I'm not sure who exactly did it and why it was done.
Okay, but why do you use they?
I'm just referring to the psychological field, haven't changed it over the years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the field in and of itself.
Do you know who in the psychological field you got this idea from? Like, who are you accrediting this?
Derived from Freud, and it came more.
They're Freud and.
Oh, you mean what's his source? Where did he get the? Where's this well?
There's a whole lot of places that I've looked at. I mean, you can obviously look for the Everyday Man's thing on Backman's channel, but you can also find it in a lot of different places. You can find it on the really boring psychologist
in a lot of places. Yes, I don't agree with it, but you can definitely find it.
You can go to really boring guys and hear it in long-winded form. You can go to Schizoid Vision, and she'll point you to Vision. Will give you a fucking a whole literature list if you ask her nice.
I gotta do another talk with her about some stuff.
Yeah,
when we have the chance. But what was I saying? Shit, I lost track of my thoughts for a second.
We were talking about Freud and true self. I was talking about.
Yeah, it was. Oh yeah, it
paradigm,
reminds me
schizoid
of
vision.
it reminds me of things like the Aristotelian virtue ethics, like when you were talking about, because it's really interesting, because like if you know about that at
Oh, so
all, it's
I would just give you 1 second. In a minute, I'll tell you who actually introduced these terms because I found it.
okay.
But go ahead. Yeah.
You can type it to Horthus because I actually don't care.
Okay, good enough. Yeah.
Because Horthus is asking maybe,
Yeah.
but so no, when it comes to Aristotelian virtue ethics, the idea was you have excess, you have the golden mean, or the golden whatever ratio. I know, not the ratio, golden mean, or the mean. They had the mean, the excess, and the deficit, I think it was called. And so he had this sort of idea. There'd be like all these virtues, right? There'd be like, I don't know how many exactly, but all these ideas or these behaviors that are considered to be virtues, like bravery, right? So yeah, bravery, and then the excess of bravery is recklessness, maybe, and the deficit is cowardness, right? And so like this idea of the sort of intentional balance that has to be created in order to achieve a more complete. Well, it's funny because they believe it to be a more complete human self, or a more complete self, a less animal self. But it's interesting that a lot of the stuff you're describing, or is described as with this true self term, are oftentimes the very things that various, I guess, sometimes spiritual, philosophical, what's the word? Teachings, schools of thought, believe keeps you from actually becoming that complete, true, balanced self, where all aspects of you, including the many impulsive kind, are also integrated, not given into, right? So when this true self is hijacking the person, that shouldn't be the accepted norm for human beings.
Well, I mean, it's just like in the thing that I just typed out there. I mean, I know you're not a big fan of it, but we say that it's hijacking them, but that is what supposedly is supposed to be their truth, their actual
Yeah, well,
authentic self. That's their
according to people
right.
that are, I think, ultimately incorrect.
I would say that's more like a raw emotion than it is a tempered emotion. Because if you want to go true self route, I don't. That's like a completely primal like thing.
Yes, correct. It is correct. Yes,
But
it's very primal.
Calling it a true self like leads people to think and assume that like that's who I like supposed to be. Not necessarily
I hear you. Right.
that's like an objective who I am.
Yes, I know it's dangerous.
I don't agree with calling it a true self because it creates too many misunderstandings and it's not practical.
I hear what you're saying on that front. On that front, you're definitely.
We should get rid of it, and we should complain about it and say it's stupid.
What do you want? What do you want to replace it with? What do you want? What do you want? I mean, just want to not ever discuss it, or?
I mean, we just did discuss it without calling it a true self. I did.
Aspect of yourself, the more impulsive nature of parts of yourself, whatever you want to call it. True. Yeah. The word "true" just has so much weight to it that it's just undeserving of that aspect.
Well, bro, like, I mean, the thing is, I think that they're just recognizing that literally we still have like basically 100%.
I'm always lower than everybody else. I know Withers,
but it's impractical. Like, I understand what you mean by true self now that you explained it like that, but that's a completely impractical way because it leads people to assume too many things that are not what we actually want to talk about.
Well, there's a lot of other aspects to it other than Winnicott's what he's saying here, but in any case, that was like when they introduced it and all that. But
there's a lot of things that were introduced in the 1960s and the 1970s that we know is utter horseshit at this point, anyways. But
so yeah, I think they're thinking about is that there's just a lot of basically everybody. As a matter of fact, we're still just a bunch of like tribalistic little Stone Age.
We're not all tribalistic,
and we're also not. We're like there is a duality there.
Well, I know.
What's your point? or a lot
Right.
of things.
We now are socialized and societalized into being in our society.
Which is
And the way that we
fucked.
have now.
Again, we are a lot of things. What's your point?
Right, but the point is that the disconnect between those two things ends up causing a lot of problems. I mean, is that agreed or is that not agreed?
I'm trying to think about what that statement actually means.
Oh, okay. No biggie.
I feel like I think that's just too vague for me to fully like grasp into something tangible.
Sure thing. So let me just break it down for you a little bit easier, because it's not an accident that this was happening, no doubt, in the '60s, is because it's when the hippies and all got started, and then so they were starting to talk about, oh, there's these people that we're gonna call them the squares, and they just they want to go and work at a factory and become a manager or become a lawyer or become a doctor or whatever, man, and they just want to be in the system, man, and that's not who I really am. I'm like an artist, man. I'm an artist that wants to be free and make my expressive talents and all this, this, that, and the third thing. And
If
that
you're
kind of thing.
talking about people that are just grouping other people into like certain categories and just are you
No,
just
it's not that. It's not
are you
that.
talking
Hang
about
on,
something
hang on,
we've been
bro. Hang
doing
on.
for entire human history? Because
But hang on, bro. Hang on. So let's just so what they're complaining. They're actually making a deeper complaint. They're just saying that the society around them is not catering to them being their authentic self, because they'll be a poor artist, right? They're not gonna have a mansion or whatever if they just go and be an artist, a shitty artist. So they're complaining that the society is literally it's not set up for them to be their authentic and true self. Right, so their authentic self, and for them to engage in their passions and all this.
Well, that's absolutely the case as far as neurodivergent people. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, definitely. It's not just for neurodivergent.
It's not
that's
set
for
up for
almost
we have
everybody.
to. No, yeah, but more
Yeah.
so, more so.
Yeah.
And
It's set
Don,
up
I
as-
agree with Don right here. Don made a really cool point, and I agree with it 100%. No holds bar is we are traumatized to the social construct would be more true definition than socialized. For some,
That is
it was
that
a
is
bit
a
too much.
that is a good way of putting it.
We
in
are
a lot of ways, yeah.
traumatized into it. Yes,
Mhm.
I would say a large swaths of the human population are traumatized into a lot.
I would say the whole. I
Neurotypicals
would say
are
the whole.
traumatized by it often.
They're traumatized.
Yeah,
by
they are,
They
yeah.
are traumatized
you-
by the way it's directed.
Yeah,
Not
you look at people on
necessarily-
the internet nowadays, and there's like a huge mental health thing from a lot of people, even neurotypicals included.
Yeah, because there's a lot of trauma occurring but it's fucked up
Because
because
people can like connect their ideas and be like, wait, the system kind of sucks.
well, this is one of the parts that sucks, and like I don't know, this might be like a weird take or something, but one of the things that I don't envy about I guess what would be considered the more neurotypical experience is that because the state of the world is whether you want to call it like post hyper corporatism, capitalism, whatever the fuck you want to call it,
Late stage capitalism, as
whatever you
people
want to
say,
call
I
it,
think.
whatever you
Yeah.
want to call it, a lot of even it's been occurring since way before that.
Yeah.
But the idea is that because the people in power or people in positions in which they can influence a lot of this stuff, they're going to cater to I guess sometimes they cater to the lowest common denominator, right? But they cater to it, and because it's so rewarding, even though it's not very meaningful, it's so immediately rewarding. The part about a lot of the neurotypical experience I don't envy is the idea that they could be marching toward their own self-destruction and be absolutely, at least temporarily, fine with it until it's too late.
Are you talking about climate change? What the fuck are you talking about?
No, I'm talking about just like the drive toward kind of manipulated sort of behaviors based on sort of
Like
reward mechanisms.
accelerationism?
No,
kinda?
no, I'm talking about how. Okay, oh my god, sorry, I'm going to.
I'm trying to put it in.
Yeah, I'm
something
talking
I
about
can-
how
yeah.
like if the world is built around understanding the average man's brand of what will motivate them and feed them, what will be the appropriate bread in circuses and so on and so forth, then oftentimes it's going to be so fine-tuned, right, that the very people that commonly absorb it are going to be utterly unaware that they're eating poison, in many ways, because it tastes so good, right? Meanwhile, a lot of neurodivergent people are already kind of averse to the taste of it, and so all they get to do is watch. I feel like they and this might be a little grandiose, but I feel like a lot of neurodivergent people are more conscious of watching the world burn, than a lot
I
of
mean, bro,
can't
I would
enjoy
just
it.
tell you, Hank, sometime I need to fucking fly you out here and just let you take a look at the fucking neighborhood that I live in or whatever.
No,
Like
I've lived in bad
these motherfuckers.
neighborhoods.
No, this is a good neighborhood,
Oh,
motherfucker.
it's a
This
good,
is fucking,
it's a good.
this is fucking
Yeah,
primo
but
neighborhood.
they might have things, they might have material resources, but they still, a lot of the times, they still end up eating a bullet at the end of a certain portion of their life. But
I mean, I hear what you're saying, but this shit is like they are in no way, shape, or form like
well,
fucking.
those are people with, I guess, the means to avoid various aspects of whatever suffering that may
Quite a
cause.
lot of that. Yes,
Yeah,
quite a
yeah.
lot
Okay,
of
so I guess, yeah, they found a way to circumvent it at the cost of God knows what. But I guess my point is like, I don't envy that part. I don't envy the not knowing that you're being fed all this, like not being aware. Like, it's kind of what you say, Shadow. Ignorance to me is definitely not bliss. Like, of not being aware of the world burning up around them, and then bringing up that the world is burning up around them makes you a bad person, because you are making them feel bad. It's making them uncomfortable to bring it up, because they don't want to think about that, because that doesn't feel good.
What is it?
Yeah,
like
it's
bringing
like a
up
frog.
like
It's a bunch of
poor
frogs and
conditions
pots.
in
Yeah.
Africa to like Withers' neighborhood? Like the very fact that we're bringing up that other neighborhoods are struggling so much, and then you talk to someone like Withers who doesn't come from a neighborhood like that, and then it's just so dissonating. Like, not to Withers specifically, but to people in his neighborhood to be like, "No, the world's fine.
Yeah.
Just live here."
Yeah, just live
It's
here.
their fault
The
for
world's
living
fine
there.
if you're me.
Yeah.
That's so weird. The world is fine if you're me. Like, I can never live that way.
The
Brother,
world's fine
there's
if
a
you
reason
stop
why.
doing what you're doing and do what
Like,
I'm doing.
you could give me $1 billion and I would never feel that. Ever.
I hear what you're saying,
I
but
will die
I
not feeling
literally
that.
do. I mean, like, I mean, bro, like, yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one because, I mean, like, just getting out and seeing everybody and everything, just having a good old time.
Yeah, it's a classic.
What have you? Yeah, those kind of things. I mean,
And like, you're obviously here with us, so it's not like you totally agree with that already.
Totally agree with what? I'm sorry, I missed.
You come from that, like, quote unquote high society neighborhood, but
No,
yet
I
you're
don't
still in
come
this
from it.
Discord.
Oh,
I'm in it right
he's
now.
just in it
Oh,
right now.
okay.
Yeah, but well, I guess maybe some of these people have never
Well,
experienced.
does that matter too much? Because you're still there, like, quote unquote, you made it.
You made it.
Somewhat. If I don't get fired here soon, I'll probably still make it.
Right?
But
like,
anyway,
you're in the supposedly the good place, and
Right,
yeah, you're still in this Discord, so there's
Yeah,
still
because
other
it's not
issues.
that good of a place at all.
No, it's
Yeah.
because there's just too many things. Like, that place, like, it solves a lot of things, but it doesn't solve it. Like, it can't solve all these other things. It's just it's a completely
I hear
different.
what you're
like,
saying.
You're trying to compare apples to oranges.
It's over solving it's over solving specific problems while neglecting others. Like,
It's almost like it breeds too much contentment.
oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, living a life free of any kind of pain, you're gonna probably produce a really unempathetic, not very great person.
I would not say they're free of pain or whatever, bro. That's
Well, not free, but if they're
Yeah.
more free of pain
sure.
than to a significant degree during their developmental years of like various kinds that are normal, would be considered pretty normal.
Yeah.
Like, normal levels of adversity, right?
Mhm.
Then
When you've never known what it is to want.
Yeah,
right?
that's how you breed monsters.
To an extent, you can, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's how you breed monsters.
Some of them will in turn become that, yeah.
So crazy, man. That's why utilitarianism is fucking insane to me in many ways. Like that idea of like working toward the least amount of like overall suffering, and it's like, how are we defining suffering? What aspects of are we just going whole hog on the word suffering? Because if we're doing
Yeah, I'm not.
that,
I'm not.
that's
I'm not
fucking
about that kind of shit,
insane,
man.
dude.
I'm not about that kind
Like
of shit.
people say, like, "Oh, I
Man,
want to get
man,
hooked up to a machine that makes me feel like I'm in a fantasy and pleasure all the time. Oh, that would be the best. That's what I want forever." It's like
That's how I've essentially
that's
described the idea of heaven. Like, I
sounds
mean, I
fucking
could just
crazy.
hook myself up to a bunch of drugs and go out into the street of Chicago
Yeah, if
and
you
be
want to
like,
feel
well, I
heaven
mean, that
right now, just
I
do
would
a bunch
feel
of heroin.
that would feel like heaven to me right now. Like,
Just
why,
do a bunch of
but we don't want to do that. So what's the
all kinds
difference?
of pleasure-inducing.
Are you up near
like,
Chicago?
drugs.
What do you
Just
call
die
it? Shadow?
like that.
I'm around
Like,
that
big old
area.
hard
Yeah, I
on
get
and a smile on your face.
Thank
Did
God
you
I
ever
don't
go to
live
the?
in the city, so
Did you ever go
I
to the
don't
new
come up from there. But
Obama Library?
no, I haven't been there in actually quite a number of years.
Yeah, maybe
I used to
sometime
go
you
there a
check
lot
it
when I
out.
was younger.
All right.
Supposed to be pretty nice. Oh, you did go there?
No, I've been to
Oh my God.
Chicago many
All right,
times.
I
when
think
was
we hit
younger.
Right,
a
I got
point. It's already 8:30. I want to end this. It's been an interesting little conversation.
Good conversation, guys.
Yeah, it's fun. I like when you guys argue. It's really fun. 'Cause one thing is like you can get all fiery with Withers, and at the end of the day, they don't care enough to hold any grudge about
Yep.
any of this stuff.
Any people
Because trust
watching the
me,
stream,
Hey, look, man, I'm
Withers should
just
have
glad
like
to see-
if they Withers was not a fucking the way they are, they would have already developed all kinds of grudges with me. Like 'cause
most likely, yeah, that's
yeah,
true.
'cause
But, I mean, I'm just happy to discuss these,
it's
abstract,
fun.
things like that.
Yeah, and how many times Withers has pissed me off? I don't care. Whatever.
for anybody
It's
that's
fun.
watching the stream, I can attest it's really nice to be able to talk to people who just don't take things personally, talk in a way that you understand, even though you like have this
Yeah.
like
You might get
neurodivergent way
emotional
of
right then and
speaking.
there, but you know.
Well, yeah, but then like
yeah.
3 minutes later, it's like it's
All right.
intuitively understood that we don't hate each other.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, okay.
But there's like if I had that argument with neurotypical people, I've literally like that's why I hate my family, because like constantly I've been called a narcissist, I've been called like I care too much about being right, yada yada yada. All I do is argue. Right, so
Yeah.
You do go in a little hard on your arguments. I would just
and
tell
I do,
you, bro.
right? But if I talk to people that are also like that, then things
Fine.
work out a lot
Right.
better than they do otherwise.
Oh,
Yeah.
you think? Okay, I was gonna say fireworks would probably ensue.
Yeah, the
No,
fireworks
actually,
ensue
what-
initially, but then they fizzle out, and you're just like, "Oh, that was interesting."
But then
and you just
we
move
actually
on.
get along quite well.
Yeah, I could get into a shouting match with Shadow and get over it, like as soon as the shouting is done about the subject.
But like
matter.
even while we're shouting at each other, it's
there's
already
there's no hate.
it is mutually agreed without speaking that we don't hate each other.
It's not hate. Hate's too much. Like hate's too strong.
If
Like,
I
for
did that with my
something like that,
family,
that's
they think
crazy.
I hate them.
It's so
Like, and they would
that's
accuse
so,
me
that
of it.
that way. I love the way you brought it back around to the whole point of this stream. Yes, yes. You can't have conversations with like this with the average person, with a lot of neurotypical people. Without
Oh, is that
them,
what the topic was? I totally
yeah,
forgot.
without them. Well, just in general, like confusing
The neurotypical sign.
neurotypical communication and behaviors that are considered fairly normal by standard. But yeah, but just yes, the idea of hating someone because of a conversation that you have where your points come into conflict, like that's like I can't. How would you learn anything? How would you test anything? How would you put to task anything in your life without conflict?
Not only do you not learn things, but you put up barriers and you become worse than if you
it's
did
so
learn
crazy.
things. Than if you didn't do anything at all.
Yeah,
And that's
conflict
called
is
trauma.
good.
And that's why I'm here.
Like conflict, civil conflict is good. It's
The
beautiful.
correct
It's
kind
great.
of conflict, yes.
There is some. Look, I'll be honest. There are some kind of people out in this world that I don't hate, but I do not want around me in any way, shape, or form. But because they haven't done anything necessarily to make me hate them, but I do not want them around me. And there are people in this world, and it's very, very few people that's how I feel about, or categories of people.
I feel that way about plenty of people, but it's not like
But But let's just say, let's just say, people will understand my joke here. But let's just say, it's not, how do I put this? I don't hate groups of people that are very much into cartography, but I do. Yeah. So not those people, but people that would sound like they're into something similar, but it's not that. That category of individuals, I don't have.
There's some people that can have those nuanced conversations.
Yeah, I only
and you're
hate.
not one of those people.
I only hate the ones that have done something about it, but I can't be around even the ones that haven't.
Well, yeah, because
Yeah.
you know everybody has. I'm sorry, I'm just
That's
cutting you off.
the too much disgust mechanism, too much trigger, too much lizard brain for me to like be able to just stay chill around. I know the subjects that I cannot be rational around, so I stay away from people that would support that particular subject. And like I said, there's very few things that would do that to me. So, all right. Anyway, who cares? Thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate the talk. I appreciate the conversation. And blah blah blah. Hopefully, we can do more of this. I'll see you guys next Thursday. Head empty Thursdays. Remember that one? I just show up with head empty. You guys bring me topics. If nothing gets brought up, we don't talk about anything. If you guys want to talk about a movie, I'll talk about a movie. I don't care nerd shit. Sure, let's talk about that. Philosophy, whatever. I just don't want to be the one that comes up with it on Thursdays. You guys bring it to me, or bring me your problems and your woes, and we'll talk about that.
Yeah, use them as your therapist.
I'll give you a topic.
Don't
for
use
Thursday
me
if
as a
you want to write
therapist. I
down.
am not a therapist. Jesus Christ! Shut up, shut up. Dummy.
We can discuss work problems that.
Sure, whatever. I don't care. Whatever. Well,
I mean,
I don't know
use this
whether
screen as, like,
your work
casual
problems are
therapy,
like
so-
fucking such a mouthful sometimes, bud. Like,
Yeah.
because you give me like every little fucking detail of the work problem. Like,
Yeah.
you give me like, you'll talk about a single work problem for like 20 minutes, and I could let you go, and you'll just be like, and then this happened, and then this person said
Me?
this, and then they
I
and
did
then they said, and then they, you know, just like it'll just go on like all the details.
I did that?
Yes.
All right, I might have done that. I
It's
You
the
do
apologize.
that all
Southern
the
in the
time.
mix.
Like
That'll
you'll
take 20 minutes. 20
It's the
minutes.
Southern
you'll
tree
remember
self,
like
man. You can't help
every
it.
back and forth of everything that was said, how it was discussed, how it was taken, what
Yeah.
problems came up from it, what the
I did
solutions
this?
were.
The fuck?
That's
I
a
didn't do that either. What the?
Fucking guy. Yeah, okay. Okay. All right. But anyway, all right. Thanks a lot. And if you want to support this stream and donate to stuff, and you like the server, you like the channel, whatever, please, Patreon. Yeah, Don says every time with yeah. Yeah. But in any case, yeah, go ahead and support me on Patreon. PayPal is good too. If you're on Twitch, you can sub on Twitch. That helps too. My YouTube is demonetized. I don't like the way they monetize things, so I barely like the way Twitch does anything as well. I'd prefer just to demonetize both channels and just be fully supported on like Patreon or just PayPal on donations and stuff. But in any case, thanks a lot, guys. And as usual, no problem, Duck. Come back Thursday, and Saturdays we do an even usually more interesting stream. I'll have a question up for the Zoid Boy on Wednesday. I'm hoping. I'm really tired, so Wednesday or Thursday, but hopefully Wednesday. Maybe it'll have something to do with this. Thanks a lot, and as usual, when day is dark, always remember